It's Thursday night, boys. Welcome back to the Boardcast. How are we all feeling?
Go.
2 Thursdays in a row.
I know, feeling good,
New
boys.
schedule.
This is the night cast.
I came in the shop and William's here playing Commander.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, William. We've got the magic cards back out again.
Well, I just pick a random deck to pick up and play, and it was like the worst deck ever.
Or the biggest bag of chips I've seen.
And inside the deck, I found my Lost Gale's Cradle too. So, hey, it's a win-win.
I like how it wasn't necessarily lost; it was just forgotten.
Yeah, it's a lot of like good cards in there.
It's
like,
tricky, right? Because you have so many cards. You run a card single business. So when you randomly lose a card, you might not even notice.
I was trying to find those cards like
Gotcha.
for the longest time. Like, hey, man, did I sell this card?
Seem like high-ticket items to lose.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I had these like OG Sylvan, like, what's it called? That Sylvan Safekeeper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the what's it called? The
Sacrifice a land.
but it's in the what's it? Judgment, right?
That's an old set.
Yeah, Judgment in OG foil too.
So had you just not checked that deck at all, or you'd forgotten that deck existed?
I thought I dismantled it, but I did not. So yeah,
Hey, we had a pretty good reception for last episode on the card game episode. We chatted just like about card games for about an hour and a half. We had pretty positive reception for it. I don't know if we should theme our episodes more. Do you guys like these more like directed
hey,
episodes?
guess what? We're gonna let you guys to vote. Danny's gonna get on Discord tonight and get it sorted, right?
Okay.
Danny,
After a couple weeks of attempting to search, I found it in about 10 minutes tonight. So
Okay.
we're on board and we're ready to go.
Have we
So-
mentioned the Discord before on the podcast?
yeah, we did. We
yeah,
did before.
I've said multiple times that I'll get it done today.
It's supposed to be like
we
four episodes ago. It's supposed to be like set up this Discord.
We have
but-
a Northern Boards Discord.
Yeah.
I think we're going to make a room specifically for the broadcast where we can hang out and chat.
Yeah.
Right?
You can ask us questions as well. So
sure.
we're gonna be
Interact.
there, and then you can ask
Well,
us.
I
stuff.
used to like be very active. All my mates used to hang out on the Northern Boards Discord. It was really good. I used to stream as well. I'm thinking of streaming again on the Discord.
Well, now that
Come hang
my
out with me,
computer's
play
not
games.
ass, I also would be pretty keen to get on there and play some Total War and some like Space Marines coming out soon as well. And
That's
fucking
yeah.
sick.
Let's go.
That was such an efficient let's go.
So Danny's gonna put it up there. Put the link up on all those socials and come in there and vote. We're gonna put some stuff up so you can just tell us what you guys like, and then we can arrange something.
Yeah,
for
Let,
us.
let us know what you want to hear us talk about. I think a big one is that we want a little bit more like community engagement.
We
get
need
a
the
lot of word of mouth.
hobby environment.
You want anything? You need life advice? We'll be there. For
Yeah,
you, dude.
I'll give you
Yeah.
heaps of advice. I don't know if you should take it, but I'll give you
we
plenty
can
of
hard
advice.
go into that parasocial relationship if you want to.
That's like,
How's your day been, dude?
I've got a few mates, they'll call me and they'll like, talk about their misses. They're like, we're trying to look for advice. I'm like, oh, no. Well, I'm the one who should be giving you advice, man. I can tell you what I did and maybe you could avoid it.
That's why you always end your sentences with like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't ruin that guy's life. So if you do happen to ruin the guy's life, you're like, hey man, I
Maybe.
didn't tell you I don't know anything.
It's the human version of a clause. Like,
It's the small print.
Yeah, if you-
Please don't come after me.
all advice is, like we insurance something like all advice is like theoretical only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like thematic like cast like a day will be nice. Like you just focus on that topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned Space Marine too, which is a funny timing because we just had a lot of video games announced.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We had the Xbox showcase recently and we had the Ubisoft conference as well.
Because they're not doing E3 anymore, right?
They
So
cancelled E3 around that COVID time, which is sad because I actually really liked E3. I like that there was like a one period in the whole year where you can just kind of tune in and expect a bunch of game announcements, get real soaked in that
So
atmosphere.
is it like everyone has their own
Yeah,
like
everyone does their own.
announcement now?
Everyone does their own, and it seems like it's all just pre-recorded now. So you
Right.
don't get that like the fun of a live engagement. You always
The
get
cheer,
There's
right?
always that funny. There's always that E3 cringe where like E3 comes on and you get all these cringe compilations of like people doing funny things or dumb things because it's all a live audience.
Well, they announced that they had never made a profit from an E3.
Correct.
So it's like it's crazy that it survived, 15, 20 years as it is without making any money.
Do you reckon those big business conferences actually make money though?
Well,
Or is the
the
intention
strategy is
just
that they should do. A lot of things like that, they're never going to make money the first, second, or third time. Like a company will launch and do something like that and say, "All right, we're going to make a loss for the first 4 or 5, while we build up the infrastructure and people get to know what it is."
Yeah.
And then from year 6 onwards, we should be making even. Then year 8 onwards, we're making a profit.
Gotcha.
Like that's like big business corporate stuff that rolls out like that. They can plan to make a loss forever. I remember like when Facebook launched, they planned to not make money for like 20 years, and then after that was their rollout time. And
Damn.
I think they made money at like 16 years or 15 years.
Same
there
thing
was-
with Uber as well.
there's
Yeah.
a famous situation where I think like when Facebook first started, they couldn't pay their cleaner, their office cleaner.
Oh, really?
So they offered the lady just like some Facebook shares.
Yeah, no shit.
So she's not a cleaner anymore. so
She's rolling in the Ferrari now.
But I think it's like, with E3, it's like, they were going long enough that theoretically they should have hit a point where they were making a profit. So I guess at some point they're not.
Same thing
and
with
they're never going to.
with BlizzCon as well,
Yes,
right?
correct. Yeah.
But they have a lot of, they sell a lot of,
BlizzCon's like over.
it's open to
Is it
public
close?
too. I thought they made money because of the public.
I think is BlizzCon still around or
Yeah,
they
they're still
just
doing it.
ended it?
I think I'm not sure, so I can't say that. But I know with COVID, a lot of those things went on hiatus, and I'm not sure what's come back and what hasn't. So, but I think there was some version of BlizzCon last year.
Is
I
it?
believe so. Yeah.
I heard that is like
Maybe they've
we'll
changed
find out. We'll find out. Like we'll do some Google
Yeah,
research after this.
we can tell you in the Discord that you're going to enter tonight.
But
or
yeah.
on the weekend when you get the podcast. I don't know.
a lot of new games that I'm excited for. We have, so basically every major publisher does their own showcase. So, Sony did their PlayStation showcase where there was like 5 or 6 games really got announced. Xbox for the last couple of years have been buying every game company. They've bought Bethesda, they bought Blizzard. Microsoft own everything now. So they came out
The
and they
Disney now.
yeah, they're monopolizing, right? So this year they came out and they showed like 27 something games. It's crazy. They just
Interesting.
like trailer after
Is there
trailer
anything
after
like any
trailer.
standouts?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Gears of War.
Gears of War's getting
I
a
played the
prequel.
shit out of Gears of War when I was a kid.
This one's gonna matter because I think
E-Day.
I've tuned out of the Gears of War story. So they're doing a prequel. They're doing it at the beginning when the locusts first show up and invade the world. So I was like, it's cool, it's a prequel, you can get back to it.
Yeah.
For me, I'm quite excited because they're doing a remake of Age of Mythology. We're talking about
Oh,
old
yes.
retro games like Age of
Yeah.
Empires. I also have an old installed disc of Age of Mythology.
I
Still
got
there.
my original Age. It's not Age of Mythology, but Age of Mythology did it as well. But I remember getting my Age of Empires 1 disc off a thing of cornflakes.
Nice. Oh, you're right. I remember
that
when they did that.
my nan got it for me, and I went around her house, and my granddad had a computer, and I used to play it there all the time. And it was a little I got a game that might have changed the focus on how I spent the rest of my life, literally from a thing of cornflakes. Like,
Well,
it's
I
crazy.
credit my like fascination with Greek mythology
Absolutely.
to like early video game experiences like Age of Mythology.
Yeah, 100%.
And also like ancient Egyptian mythology is the same because Age of Mythology had a crazy campaign. You got to see like Norse, Egyptian, and Greek mythologies.
It was such good gameplay, like at the time, especially at the time as well. Like,
But it's
the bar was not high.
again, it's an RTS, and I feel like games have really moved past real time strategy.
Yeah.
And when I go
There's
back
not
and play
many
them now,
RTS,
part of my
right?
brain is like,
Well, it's that big dichotomy between like what Total War is and then what Age of Empires is, right? Age of Empires is much slower. You build up, then you like move across. And I remember playing what's the StarCraft? I remember trying to play StarCraft. And
That's
I
fast.
Played a heap of Age of Empires 1 and 2 with mates, and then going to StarCraft. And I was like, it was almost like someone had put it on overdrive, and I was like, whoa!
here's my
ready for how fast it
controversial
moved,
take.
you know?
I think StarCraft has really poisoned the perception of what an RTS game is. StarCraft really helped push that idea of like your APM, your actions per minute, really fast paced, competitive RTS where like the best compete on a ladder. Well, for me, RTS games have always been a little more cozy. Like I just want to build up a thing. And
You like the SimCity style kind of
yeah,
games.
but for me, playing RTS games was like me and my mates on a LAN, and we used to just like throw armies at each other. And
Yes,
Age of Mythology
right.
is like, I'm gonna throw a meteor at you, or like, I'm gonna have a giant like Anubis.
Yeah,
come around.
I feel like the best part of the RTSs was when was the fun that you had in it, not trying to race to the
yeah,
end.
it wasn't just a dude who was like clearly better than you came and destroyed you.
Yeah, yeah. And like there used to be, I don't know how many of them are still around, but we used to go when I went to high school in Balcatta. Some of the older guys would let us come along with them, and we'd go into Northbridge, and there was a LAN party there in like the Chinatown kind of section, and we'd all play Age of Empires 2, and you could get like 16 people on the LAN
that's hectic.
on the thing, and it was either 8 and 8, and there was 16 of us, and we would just play 2 rounds, or it was 16. I can't remember. I don't want to be wrong about it, but it was like there would be at least 16 of us there, and maybe it was 8 people per map, whatever. But it was such a good day. We'd go down there, and I think you'd pay like $2 an hour or something like that, and like I used to have my job worse, and I'd save up the money, so I'd go with those boys, and it was just such a good time, and it reminds me of such a big part of how the advance of technology has come along. When I used to like play with my soccer team, right, when I was like 13, 14, after soccer, like all 13 other boys from the team would come around my house, and they'd bring their PlayStation 1 controllers, and we'd play Red Faction. And like when you die, you'd have to pass the controller to the next person. But it was like we'd all do that like on the one TV. And then as the technology got better, the game's moved away from having like split screen. Like Halo 1 had like 4-player split screen, then it went to 2-player, and now current Halo you don't have any split screen. You have to play like 2 separate things.
Yeah.
And I think the better technology got, the less close we got together. Like there was no need to do those LAN parties anymore because you just do it from your own couch.
Being there in the environment and with your mates is a lot more fun, right? Being
100%,
there and like when you play Halo and like you kill your mate, you can be like, suck it.
Yeah,
directly to his face.
The internet was so shit that it couldn't work. We had to like, so my Connor, one of the regulars who plays here, he actually lived one house away from me on my street. So if we wanted to get some mates around, we'd grab his TV and bring it from his house, and we'd walk it down the street. Literally just walk down the street with the TV and set his Xbox up next to like my Xbox on the TV, and we could get 4 mates around or 8 mates around and play like split screen games there. And it was like because the internet was so shit, it forced you to do more fun things like having your mates around and stuff like that. You order pizza, you go down to Blockbuster or whatever, and you'd get some or like Video Easy or whatever, and you like hire some movies and like it was this whole, you were forced to do that kind of stuff. But now the internet's held good, I'll just like play over my headset with my mate Jordan or whatever, and it's like I'd rather be sitting next to him and having a chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you see the vision, right? It's like that hot summer day, you know, and you're hanging out.
100%. There's 15 of those pedestal fans going.
When was the
like
last
a Coca-Cola
LAN party you had? The last LAN party I had was when I was in uni, and that LAN party was Dota.
Nice.
And the worst part of it is we played till like 3 to 4 a.m. and in like a high end, like because my uni mates were like rich Indonesian students, so they lived in like a high end like condominiums. So we'll be shouting in the condominium like at like
Yeah, your neighbor's like, shut up.
and then security had to come like 4 or 5 times. Like, hey man, you gotta turn yourself down. And we were like, stun.
I have real fun.
The guys come in, think you're having a party, and they open the door, and it's just like you and like 12 guys in headsets. I'm like, oh.
They slowly back out. This is not the
Yeah, it was really bad.
Do you remember those like those early photos of like LAN parties and like from the dawn of the internet, and there'd be like guys taped to the ceiling playing from the ceiling and stuff like that?
Yeah, I remember those images.
Crazy. LAN party is like, it was like a thing.
It was, for me, it was interesting because me and all my boys in high school, we were like the more techie kids. So we used to LAN through the school network. We would play LAN just through the wireless network in the school. We just use that to play. And we used to get pretty good at coordinating it. So we would know like we would have each other's classes. We'll be in different classrooms and we'll still be versing each other, like in class.
That's pretty
on the
impressive.
computer. And then one day it was, I think it was year 12 graduation. A bunch of the teachers got together and they were like, hey, you boys play a bunch of video games, huh? And we were like, yeah. And so it was a bunch of kids, a bunch of students, a bunch of teachers. We all got in the like the engineering lab computers, and we just played a bunch of Counter-Strike. We spent like
so
it was
cool.
like one of the last days of before graduation. We just played a bunch of Counter-Strike 1.6, like old.
Oh, that's
Counter-Strike.
cool.
It was hell sick, dude. Just that environment of all the people shouting at each other, just the attitude, the teams that were happening.
Same, the same thing. Like, so Connor's parents, they were like, they used to have a computer each, and it'll be next to each other in the living room. And Connor's dad used to play RuneScape, and Connor's mum would play like those old point and click like sleuthing games. Where you'd, like, you'd click on like a cupboard, and the cupboard would like.
Oh, the Nancy Drew games.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, it was like that. And like they'd play, and they're lovely people. I love them. I was like, they're kind of like second parents when I was growing up, but they just sit in the living room and chain smoke. Like and this room was like full of smoke and they're there. And like every now and again, they'd like go out to get dinner and they'd leave us behind. So we'd jump on the computers while they'd go, and we'd play Counter-Strike. And like Connor was like exceptionally good at it, and I was fucking terrible. I was so bad. And we'd jump on like a group. He's like, I've got mates we'll play. And he was like, it's fine, you'll be fine. And I would just be getting fucking murdered constantly. And he's like, he was so patient with me, but he's like, you could tell like the other teammates were like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? And we're just like 13, 14-year-old kids, but we had such good times. Like it was so good growing up next to a friend that like we had that. So Connor actually started as my my younger brother's friend. They'd play on the street. So we lived on a hill, and they'd play skateboards with each other. They'd like skateboard down the hill together. And then one Christmas, Connor got an Xbox. And Connor instantly became my best friend because we could go to his house and play Xbox. And I'm like, as soon as I saw him playing outside with my brother, I'm like,
wait, did you force Connor to be your best friend? You saw he had an Xbox?
I stole him off my brother and forced him to be my best friend. I'm like, man, we'd play Halo constantly, and it was like the original Halo Combat Evolved. And we'd play it on like the legendary and the heroic, like the high version.
We should Discord get all the boys on playing some Halo.
100%.
Because I remember it was a
100%.
while back. This was when Halo Infinite first came out. I think it was me, you, and
I don't
Connor
like
as well.
Halo.
Yeah.
We got William
What?
on as well.
Come on, bro.
We had William on playing Halo.
I was like, what on earth is
all right,
this
you
shit?
got to be patient with us, but we were all playing Halo, and it was a hell of fun, right?
Yeah.
William was trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
William's a Call of Duty guy.
Yeah, I'm a Call of Duty guy.
Yeah, he likes.
It's just
he
you
wants
point and you shoot, bro. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
he wants hit markers.
I don't want like
satisfaction.
I don't want shit like people driving that shit car and just hitting you.
Yeah, the
I'm
Warthog.
like, what?
I'll always appreciate Connor because he's what I call my video game friend, where I'll be like, oi, like I did this with Vermintide. I was like, oi, on Vermintide is it's like a Warhammer game where it's like what would you call that? It's like where there's swarms of stuff come out.
like a Left 4. It's like a horde base.
Like a horde based
Yeah,
game,
horde
right?
game.
So it was on sale on Steam or something. I was like, oi, we're gonna get this game and they'll get all the expansions because we're gonna play it heaps. You know, and he's like, all right, cool. He downloads it, he buys it, and I download it, buy it, and then I've played like 7 minutes with him.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, Connor, we're gonna get Halo, we're gonna do heaps of gaming for that. He's like, all right, I download it. I played that for like 9.5 minutes, and then like we did the Total War League, and I'm hell committed to the thing, but then instantly realized I've got no time, and that poor guy has probably spent $1,000 on games. Sometimes I don't even get to the point of buying it, but he buys it in preparation for us to play it together, and I'm like, oh, I'm so
You reckon
sorry.
this time we would finally actually going to do
Hey,
it? It's
wait,
like Boy
wait.
Who Cries Wolf.
Hold on.
Connor's like, are you sure?
We're gonna do Space Marine too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. It looks so good,
So
bro.
here's the thing, right? So Discord, right? Now that I'm finished my uni semester, I got a lot more time. I want to get on Discord. Let's do some LAN gaming. Let's play some
Wait,
video
let me
games.
see when's Space Marine 2
It's
out.
coming out September, I believe.
Have you watched the trailer? The trailer is so
Great,
good,
yeah.
man. It looks so good.
So here's the thing, right? So I want to get on and do a bunch more streaming as well. I think Elden Ring is coming out with an expansion.
What's
I wanna
Elden
be-
Ring? I don't know what that
Dark
is.
Souls.
Oh.
Same concept. I want to be on Discord streaming it a bunch. So I'll make an announcement if you want to jump on and want to watch me hang out and stream. There's a bunch of boys that
okay.
watch me play the original storyline.
September 9.
Yeah. Nice.
So if you get the premium version, you get 3 days earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get that premium.
it
version.
only matters if I have that 3 days earlier is I'm still free.
You're still free.
I'm not free, but I'm just gonna do
The
it.
Space Marine 2 looks great because it's co-op. So exactly 3-person co-op. Oh. And there's also going to be multiplayer where you can verse each other and stuff.
Is 3-person cop weird? Why is it 3?
Nah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I think
So 3 of us, just nice. Watch us play.
Just play.
yeah,
I like
if
that.
you want to see us be terrible at video games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would be a Space Marine.
But Space Marine 2 is really like an interesting event that happened because we had the original Space Marine come out on the Xbox 360. We've had probably like 10 years of nothing announced. And they finally like Space Marine 2 is coming out.
It was. Did you play? Obviously, did you play the first one?
I did, yeah. I enjoyed it. It was
You?
fun.
No, I didn't play it.
Do you know the storyline?
Bro, it was so good.
Do you
No.
know what happens?
No. Why? What happened? Tell me.
Okay, it's just orcs invading a planet, Space Marines show up, and then turns out Chaos is there also. And then yada, 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 yada. Captain Titus is like the captain.
I have a feeling Chaos is in this as well.
Well, yeah, they already showed in Thousand Suns. We already seen Chaos.
But the Tyranids part of the trailer where they're like swarming through the air and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Oh, it looks so good, man.
Graphics right now are insane. A big part of that
I'll be
graphics
playing
is-
it on a console. Oh, it's
It's
cross-platform.
cross-compat,
Yeah, it's
cross-compat.
cross.
You have a really good PC. Why not play on PC?
Because I can't play it because on the console, right? I have this portable thing that I have with a PS5.
Yeah.
So I can just move from the TV to the portable thing, like instantly, just transfer.
Because I've got an Xbox, whatever one or whatever the current thing is, and you've got a PlayStation.
I don't think
at
Space
home.
Marine 2 is coming out on PlayStation.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can play Xbox. You can play PC, and William.
I
Can
know
play
it's I
PlayStation.
know it's PC, Xbox, cross combat. I don't know if it's PC.
Yeah,
PlayStation,
it's all
cross-combat.
cross. It's all cross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it then.
There you go. We can each represent one of our consoles and decide which one shits itself the least.
PlayStation 5, baby. Let's go.
Well, on top of all the announcements of video games coming out, one of the ones I was excited for a very long time was it's a game franchise called Stalker. It's like I describe it as like Soviet
heard
Russia,
of it.
Soviet Ukraine simulator. But basically,
It's so current.
yes, literally, it is current day what Ukraine's going through. But essentially, the Stalker games are like from the mid 2000s, right? And it's been a very, very long time, nothing,
Yeah,
no news, and they
heard
finally
of it.
announced Stalker 2. I was very, very excited. Supposed to come out last year, which unfortunately Russia decides to go to war with Ukraine.
Yeah,
so that's delayed the video game.
It's funny you say this because I read an article independently of this, not realizing that's what it was about. But
a
they're
couple
like,
of the devs got, couple of the developers got conscripted, and I think one of them has already passed away.
oh, gross.
So it's been like, oh, I sure hope my video game still comes out.
yeah, because
which is
that's the top of the
yeah,
problem.
which is a little fucked up because I should be thinking like, oh man, I sure hope they're all right. So
rough.
Oh, I heard of that game like way back.
So
Stalker,
it was
yeah.
produced in Ukraine, then was
yeah,
it?
Ukrainian devs.
Interesting.
There's a lot of that like Eastern European bloc that have a lot of video games come out.
100%, yeah. So when I was doing the beer tech stuff for Poland, I was talking to a lot of guys because they dealt a lot with like Romania and Poland and Ukraine, especially at the time, just like before the whole Russian thing kicked off. The governments there, again, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, where I think we've, depending on how educated you are on like that Eastern, like European side, they're way more, I don't know, you have this consideration us being in Perth, that is further behind than what it really is. But they've got super advanced technology. The government's put a lot of effort into getting their public into education that revolves around technology. So especially Romania and Ukraine, for maybe the last 10 years, they really incentivize people to go to uni by the government's paying for the uni, the government's paying for the coding courses and technology courses. And there's a huge amount of like engineering and technical and like data stuff happening there education wise. And they've got some of the most impressive like education based around that. And there was a huge push maybe 10 years ago in Romania for every kid in school to get like coding lessons, and it'd be part of the just basic education of being in high school. So over the last 10 years, you've got all these kids coming out with better understanding, and because they're learning quicker and it's being more active, better than some of like the uni courses around the world, because they're learning and using it straight away. But then what happened was the government really pushed it, but unfortunately in Romania there's not a lot of job opportunities. So you have these huge scamming like groups and links that come together, and huge like massive like scam companies coming out of Romania.
The government does a good thing and then it bites them in the ass.
Well, they have like all this technology, information, and education on how to like use
good scammers.
Yeah, to use the internet, but they've got like no outlet for that.
Tier A scammers.
So it's like Romania is like now one of the hotbeds for, I don't know, scamming things around the
that
world.
That is the unfortunate situation that happened to India as well, right? Same situation.
Is it?
Big government push for like technological education, and you get a lot of the fallback from it as well.
And then we get like 20 phone calls a day.
Yeah.
About solar rebates.
Automated as well.
Jeez.
So.
I've had the same.
Oh wait, talking about that, I got scammed once. Like I didn't realize it because I was so busy, right? And then like this person called me, and then I didn't know it was a scam, and it was like from Telstra, and I was with Telstra. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, and I was like, oh, do you want a new phone? I'm like, yeah. And then like it went through the whole thing, and then like suddenly Telstra called me like, hey, you just applied for a phone to send to this address. I was like, no, someone did. Like, oh, then I realized I was getting scammed. I was so busy that I didn't realize I was getting scammed.
So was the scammer trying to get you to pay for a phone, but then it was going to get sent to a different address?
Correct. So what they do is they talk to you, and then while they talk to you, they are talking to Telstra via the chat.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So when they get like you know, when they talk to the chat, they need to send you like a code, the two-step authentication, right?
Yeah.
So it'll send to you like, Telstra just sent you a code. You need to give me that code. So when you give them the code,
it feels like it's the system
so
is
you give them the code, and then the code they give the code to the Telstra person, and then that's how they sign up for the phone.
So this is actually a little scary for me because I'm driving the truck quite a lot, and the scammers will call me.
That's right.
And I will just chat to them. I know that it's bullshit, but I'm like, I've got time. So I'll just sit there and have chats, and they'll like try to get you.
You mess with them?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
not in like a mean way, because I know that. Look, no one should be scamming, but I also know that if these people like having to scam, maybe their situation's not the best in life. So I'm not being a piece of shit about it, but I'll just have.
You might
chats.
be the hero because you're taking their time when they could be taking someone else's
time. Yeah.
Money, right?
I usually just shut off the phone, but yeah, that was the one time that I got scared, like almost got scammed because I was like not focused.
Yes, doing multiple things at one time.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
I know I've at least told Kang about this before, but have I ever told you, William, about the man who bought a company in China and it was a scam?
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
So the guy, right? He's a friend of mine, a guy I worked with for like more than 10 years. He owned some timber flooring companies, and he was looking to diversify his business, right? And his friend happened to win the lottery. So he won $1 million on the lottery. So they took the $1 million and their business, like they already ran a business, and they went to China and they were looking at different businesses they could buy. So they went there and they bought a paper company. And they went there and visited it. They visited like the factory and met a bunch of the workers and the managers and like the distribution lines of where it was going to go, all this kind of stuff, right? And then they meet like a local representative who will manage it from like China, while obviously these guys live in Perth. Anyway, they go out there, it's all legit. And one thing they gave them was big picture, like a painting of the factory as like a thank you for like getting involved, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, they come back to Australia. They start sending the first amounts of money, and it costs, I can't remember how much it was, but it was like a couple $1 million, right, of investment that went into buying this company. Anyway, they send the money. Then, some things happen, and then all of a sudden the communication just breaks down, and they're like, nothing's happening. And they're like, oh. And they can't get a hold of the people. Their representative they got from China just is not getting back to them anymore. So they fly back to China. They go back to the factory. It's a shut down factory. There's no workers. The signage that was up that was there for when they went there to take as a payback for all gone. There's no like stock there or anything anymore. And it's the whole thing just turned out to be a complete scam.
That's an insane
And
setup.
the scam company had hired the factory in the meantime, spruced it up to make it look real. And then there's just the whole
High
thing
level scam.
everything, all the people that were there, like obviously just didn't work there. Like the security and the signs were all taken away, and the whole thing was just one massive scam. And he spent millions of dollars getting this thing.
Dude.
And
There's so many moving parts to this, right?
Well, to them it was also worth it. It was like a couple million Australian dollars.
It's
right?
a proper big, like this is like an Ocean's 11. We're gonna get these people for their money.
Yeah, this literally is like Ocean's 11. This is like Ocean's 15.
But you can imagine, like, because there was hundreds of staff there. Imagine every single
That's
person there being like,
hectic.
like just for the day. And do
They paid
think it's just a
everyone
day
$5.
gig? Yeah.
It's like
So he used to have this because they had that painting right of the factory. He would keep that in his office at his wood floor company here in Perth, and it was a reminder to him to make better decisions. He was
Wow.
can you imagine
He has a permanent fixture
Yeah, permanent
of just
fixture.
like
the scam? Wait.
man.
So imagine this, right? All of them were like tricked. Everybody in that company in China was tricked as well. All the employees were tricked. Like, hi, you got like an acting job.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Wow.
because there's like those people, like they know that these two white guys going over there didn't speak Chinese, not in a million years, right? So, is everybody in on it, or do those people think they're like, oh, you guys have to come here for a day?
they were
We'll
just
pay you
hired,
$20.
Yeah,
Like-
probably like coming here for like a
it's
gig.
probably like 5 guys got a bunch of money and everyone just got paid like for a gig, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moving parts to this because I've always heard that when you go deal with businesses, you go through a third party,
Yes.
like organization or company that actually specifically hire out reps.
Yeah.
So you actually go through a third party. So it definitely sounds like they didn't.
Well,
They went through someone.
They thought they did have that person, which was their
Whoa.
their Chinese representative.
Yeah.
But that person that was the initial part when he stopped contact back to them. They knew something was up.
So my business partner has businesses in China. So what happened is one of his partners is actually like permanently in China.
Yeah.
So it's like always there.
Is he a Chinese national? I'm
No.
assuming?
It's like a Malaysian.
His job
but
is to oversee.
Yeah, he lives there.
Yeah.
Like there.
To make
you
sure
got-
his factory
yeah.
doesn't just shut down.
Doesn't
you
shut
got
up.
big-
So the actor's getting paid every day.
Proper.
The actor's getting paid every day.
That's just a job, William. You just have a job.
Yeah, that's how I'm acting every day. What do you-
Have you seen that small sketch like from what's it, Keegan and Peele? Like the
Key and Peele,
Key and
yeah,
Peele,
yeah.
It's like, hey man, we gotta do this job. We're gonna rob the bank, but we're gonna be there. Like first thing, we're gonna infiltrate the bank.
Yeah, we're gonna get hired.
You're gonna get
Oh
hired.
yes, yeah. And they just end up working at the bank. Yeah, 100%.
So you're gonna work at the bank. You're gonna pay us money. We're just gonna be there every day. You're gonna pay us money.
Yeah. I always found it. So when at the end of the news or something, it will like cross away from the news, and there'll be a lady just on a laptop, and she's just like. Like she's just tapping away at the computer,
love it,
and like
yeah.
pretending to type something down. I was like, "You have a real job. You could actually just type something down." Like
You know what? Do you think it's the dream? This is the dream, supposedly. Like you get into one of those like big giant companies that can't go down, and you just get like put in some division that doesn't really do anything, and you just sit around all day and get paid.
Didn't like a lot of these
I imagine it
stories-
happens all the time now.
Yeah, I guess like have you seen like especially in IT, right? The IT department, someone coded bots like
I heard
automation,
about
right?
this, yeah.
To just do work for them.
He just
And
sits
then-
at home.
Yeah, he sits at home.
Gets paid.
A really big thing right now is somebody having a work at home job, and then they just completely sub all that work to two guys in India at like less than 10% of what their income is.
They're just 5-0.
They're just 100% putting it straight out. And there's whole companies in India that are based around like this, because it's such a big thing in the US right now that there's whole companies in India that will like fish that someone's in an IT job, they'll get contacted.
Well, in
They're
the
like,
tech
hey,
world right now, just hiring third-party work from India is a big part right now. Because we
Yeah.
talked about how like there's a big push with government for like
Did you
Indians.
did you hear about the fucking Amazon store?
What happened?
What's
So
that?
there's a couple Amazon stores around the world where there's one in England. I think there's one in like California or Washington or something. I don't know, whatever. But you would just go walk. You would walk in there with your basket, and then you'd put things off the shelf into your basket, and then when you leave, it would charge your account, right?
What?
You haven't heard about this?
They just made Walmart.
So the whole thing was based around the fact that there was technology that was scanning all the items as you
Correct.
picked them up, and then it would charge your account when you left. They found out that there was no system at all. It was just like 50 Indian guys was watching you the entire time. Wow. So it would register you through facial recognition when you'd enter, and then someone would just have to track every single item that you picked up, and then it would charge your account.
Yeah, someone did the math.
What if they do like
that was cheaper?
No, there's no scanning.
I know, but what if you can't identify the item?
They're trained to like probably like there's probably like identifying things on the shelves or whatever. So they see if you're grabbing something off the shelf, it's this code.
But it was all based around that technology was working out what you were picking up and taking away with you to charge it that way. And really, it was just 20 poor guys just sitting in a room.
But what happened if you buy like potatoes? Like if you buy like 2 kilos, like how do you know the weight?
I don't know. I guess they just have an average of weight of what a potato costs. I don't know.
I don't know the exact moving parts, but I heard about the story. But it's like we've reached that dystopian where like
is this legit?
And
cheaper?
No, 100%. Amazon listed it as technology they'd come up with to make this work, and it 100% ended up being these guys. Do you know what the funniest bit is? In one of the previous companies that I worked for, I met a guy who told me that they worked on that technology as part of like him selling himself to come work for us. And then like, so now 3 years later, I'm like, wait a fucking second. Because throughout Europe, they have a similar system where when you go on the trains and trams in like Poland, not Poland, so it was Germany to France and some other places. When you jump on the train station, your face will be scanned, and then it would automatically debit your account. So you didn't have to buy tickets or scan in or anything like that. So as you get in at certain booths, like train stops in and out, you didn't have to have anything at all.
I think China is having that now. So
Yeah,
you can play using your palm of your hands. Like just hover across that. You know like how we do with F, right?
Yeah.
F pose, right? So you just hover your hand.
And it reads like the fingerprints?
Your whole palm.
I would like to have like a robot hand that you high five. So you walk up like, hey, you high five the robot man, and he lets you on the train. That'd be perfect.
But they have like the credit system.
Yeah.
So they scan your face and everything. So based on your behavior, like if you like to like piss everywhere, then
I like that was your example as well.
What a great one.
if you like to piss everywhere, then you have a lower credit score. Then
It's been a little.
Your tickets. Like you don't get discount, you can't go on the fast train.
Yes.
And
then
like
because I watched a video of a lady who was talking about how she really liked the social credit score, and she had a very good social credit score, and she would get she had a very good credit score. Hold on, I'm having aneurysm, I'm trying to think so loud. Anyway, she was talking about how she was an advocate for it because she had a very high credit. Oh, I'm just doing this 200 times. Anyway, the point is she got all these discounts on like buying books and like educational things she did online, and like how she get a bit of a discount on like gas or like petrol or whatever. Whoa. So it's like there's like two ends to that spectrum. Obviously, there's a huge invasion of privacy there, but I guess if there's I don't know, it's a hard line. Like I don't think
there's no privacy in
let's
China,
be honest.
though.
Yeah, I think. Even in the Western world, it's slowly trending that way.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% is like working with the tech company that I was with before. We're already speaking to governments and like stuff for grants, and it was already talking about how that facial recognition stuff would be removed. And you can think of it like a place like Britain. The most of their metro is completely covered by cameras. You can travel for 3-4 hours in London and have cameras tracking you every second of the way, and that's how they catch so many people. Like in doing crimes is because they can literally track you from when you do the crime to back to your house all the way. And it's like as technology gets better, and it works really well in London because you've got really high density metros, so you can have cameras like on every street. Whereas in Australia, it's a little bit different. Everything's much more spread out, and they stand out a bit more. So it's not going to happen here straight away, but things will definitely trend that way for sure.
When me and my parents immigrated out of China, 2001, right? We're talking like real early 2000s. China was a very different landscape, right? We're talking about a country that was quite poor, right? My parents always had stories of like you always wore your bag in front of yourself so you don't get like pickpocketed from behind, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, like your possessions, the theft, and like it was kind of like it's a rough country, right? China in that early developing stage, right? But then recently,
That's so weird because I always feel like the mentality of China to I guess the Western world is that they're like they're all together and it's like them against everyone
what happened
else,
was
right?
we've had a lot of wars. It's been a pretty hectic history, right? So you have a lot of people that are real jaded and like out for themselves.
Now China is like everybody has a supreme cash gun and it's shooting cash everywhere.
Yeah. So now that China's been developed and there's going to be massive technological booms, massive like changing of landscapes. My parents recently went back to visit their family, right? And they came back and they're like, "Whoa, everything's changed. Like everything is super technologically advanced now. Like everything's operated through like technology and apps." And my parents are like that old generation, like don't know how to use things. But a big one for them that changed as well was like how safety and how things go now, right? They were talking about everywhere they went in the big cities, those cameras everywhere, but there's also zero theft, like zero like crime, basically.
Yeah.
My relatives in China, they talk about stories how they don't even lock their cars anymore. They just leave their purse in their car, whatever, and they just go to the restroom. They'll come back and everything's still there because no one actually dares commit a crime.
That's so crazy because that's how I grew up in like semi-country Western Australia.
Yeah.
We never locked our doors, kids. Like, and mum would just like we could just like wander out of the house and then come back at like 8 o'clock at night. As long as we're home time for bedtime, it was totally fine.
You just
like,
can't commit a crime basically without getting caught.
Yeah, we like again, we wouldn't lock. I remember Dad not locking his car. We wouldn't lock the front door. And now, like it's gone the other way now, where like even the suburb I live in, there's like someone the petrol station got held up with at gunpoint only like 6 weeks ago.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're not even in like in the hood. But it's little half. We're half hood is what I'd like to call it. But it's like it's weird how that dichotomy has completely changed over from our two different situations there. So do you think your parents will ever regret coming here? Considering we're getting shitter and they're getting better?
Nah, my parents are always like, Australia has still provided me a lot of opportunities.
It's
right?
true.
So
I guess it provided them change
as a
when they
parent,
needed
I feel like a
change.
big part of what they want to do is provide for their children. So,
Interesting.
because you also immigrated.
Yeah.
Right?
I
What was
just,
the landscape like when you came?
Well, it's not different, not much different. It's just that I just want a different lifestyle. That's it. It's just the lifestyle.
William's always worn his bag on his front because he thinks it looks
It's
cooler.
trendy. Look, that's the opportunistic immigrant.
I mean,
right?
it's pretty much, I don't want to work so hard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my view.
Shall we talk about hobby, gentlemen? We've talked a lot about candid.
Yeah,
I
I
like these candid chats. We talked about video games for a while. That's my forte.
Well, I have something. So last week we talked about the cards, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the new Modern Horizons
3.
3, right? And we were talking about the bird. There was the
bin chicken.
Yeah, the bin chicken.
It's a tier 1 bloody deck.
Yeah, turns out the card is crazy.
Yeah, so we talked about that bin chicken, and do you remember what I suggested that I should get Mark to 3D print me a bin deck box for my
Yeah.
bin chicken deck? That night, so we recorded Thursday night. Then the next day, John and Mark came in, and we haven't even launched the podcast yet. Mark came in with a 3D printed skip bin deck box to give to John, because John's whole stick was that he's got a garbage deck. So he's got Mark to get a garbage bin, like so that he could put his garbage deck in this garbage deck box. But we literally talked about it the night before.
Oh my goodness.
And the next day he comes in with the exact thing we're talking about. So I'll post the photo of that.
Can we talk about the winning numbers for the lottery?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's crazy. It's fate, right? Now you have to build that deck.
I know, right? It's so cool.
It's so powerful. Have you seen what its ability?
What it actually does, yeah.
Well, Mark's done some like pretty cool 3D prints, right? So we have that dumpster deck box, but he's also 3D printed you out a Eye of Sauron Tower of Mordor deck box.
The deck box is like the entire tower. I can't believe I can't remember of all people the name of the tower.
Barad-dûr.
It's not just called.
Is it Barad-dûr?
Is it?
Yeah, of course it's
Barad-dûr.
Barad-dûr. Oh.
I've just called it the Tower of Sauron.
Have you not heard the song? The Barad-dûr, Barad-dûr, Barad-dûr.
I kept saying Orthonk, but Orthonk is where
The Eye of
Saruman
Orthonk,
lives,
yeah.
And but like it's the entire box and it lifts up and there's like a little slot inside for it and and he's 3D printed the eye that sits on top with the flames and then he's like painted the flames as well, so it looks like fucking gas.
It's exactly what Commander should be: showy and impractical.
And I know he printed you the fridge, the Nuka-Cola fridge.
Yeah,
from
I got a
Fallout as
Fallout
well.
style deck box.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
quite excited. What do you want, William?
What do I want?
A dragon bust for your dragon deck.
Well, I don't know. I don't play Commander as much.
What,
Come on.
What
For your One Piece deck, what do you want? Just a
pirate
big,
ship.
a big dollar sign.
like
Just money.
I like my dragon deck a lot. That's the one deck that I fully foiled it.
The Lapras deck?
Yeah.
And now there's a foil Lapras because there didn't used to be a foil Lapras.
No, there is.
Oh, there was?
Yeah.
I thought it came in like a commander deck or something.
No, it was the foil letters. Yeah, and now the good thing is with the new Modern Horizons tree, right? So Curse Mirror, is it Curse Mirror? Came in a foil now.
Yes,
So I finally have a foil Curse Mirror
Yeah,
now.
nice.
Yay! Because I'm trying to foil the whole deck out. And then try to like
Is there any choice pieces you're missing?
oh well, there's a Grim Monolith in there. I can't afford it. So
Talking about foils, we did the Aether Revolt draft the other day.
Yeah.
And Pursa,
25%.
How lucky were we?
25%.
Pursa pulls out, what was I took a photo of it. Do you remember what card
So
it was?
Aether Revolt is a Magic the Gathering set from like 2018 where they introduced like these lottery cards called masterpieces, right? They're golden foiled and they're worth quite a bit of money. I think you're supposed to get maybe one in a case, like 1 in 4, between
25%.
Per pack,
Yeah.
it was a 1 in 2,116 packs.
and
it
then
was.
we had, fortunately, the one time we've done this draft in all the boards, we pull a masterpiece.
Yeah, straight out.
That's
crazy.
So Michael Person, one of the regulars who comes down and drafts pretty much every Sunday, he said it was like first pack of the draft,
Yeah.
right? So that means everybody straight after knows that they're not going to pull another.
It was a lot of excitement right at the beginning, and everyone goes back to doing the draft, and they're like, wait a minute, I can't pull the masterpiece now.
It's crazy.
But you got like a sphere of resistance, and it's actually really cool, especially from like even like time is a little bit funny with this because you think. I don't know, as you get older, time moves a little bit quicker and you don't notice how much time is going past.
I've asked-
So it's been like 10 years since this set as well, right?
Wait, I've asked people that are older than me, does it ever slow down? And they're like, no,
it gets
it
quicker.
only gets faster.
It only gets
and that's
faster.
That's scary. That's like,
Turbo.
oh no,
It's
we're
like,
halfway through 2024 already.
and it's like, I know, Kang, you don't have kids, but William and I both have children. And it's like, I think the older the children get, the faster that time elapses.
Yeah.
Because I look at my child and he's like hitting puberty. He's like 13 and he's got like a little mustache. And the other week he got a rash from because he kissed his girlfriend for too long, which is a nightmare for me to think about. But like, I look at him.
A rash.
He got like a full like patch rash around his mouth.
What an
they
unfortunate
must-
first experience.
What is he doing,
They
bro?
must have just been licking each other's faces.
I
for
can't
like 2
believe
hours,
he
man.
legitimately got cooties.
Well, I think of that and like I blink and it was only 2 days ago that he was like 6 years old and sitting on my lap and watching Lord of the Rings, like how they made Lord of the Rings thing, and I'm like, and then like I open my eyes and there's this like 13-year-old boy who's like smelly with a mustache, and I'm like,
And
oh,
it
what
gets
happened?
weird,
What
right? 'Cause
happened to my heart?
you can remember back to what you were like 13, right? And it gets tricky.
Oh,
The
So
problem,
having a kid is just hitting the nos.
yeah, 100%, yeah. It goes exponentially.
And every subsequent kid is changing gear higher and higher, right?
Because you've got 2 kids, right?
yeah, I got 2 kids.
It's like, so do you feel like it doubled speed?
Not really, but it's fast.
It's fast.
It's definitely fast.
So you're gonna have 2 kids and that's it.
yeah.
You're done.
I got 3 kids, 1 fur kid.
Pets don't count, William. Come on.
Dude, I spent
They're part of
I
the
spent more
family.
money on that dog than myself. What the heck? That dog goes to like it showers every 2 weeks, and then it grooms every 8 weeks.
So are you a proper like pet person, like a dog person?
I like dogs.
Okay.
Yeah,
What kind of dog you got?
I got a Labradoodle,
Oh, I love a Labradoodle.
Yeah.
What's the name of your Labradoodle?
Luna, because
Oh, Luna's
she's
cool.
black in color.
I've always described those dogs as they're like decorative dogs. They're not really like a dog
Nah.
to do dog things.
Nah,
William's dog has a nicer house than I have.
it's pretty cool.
Legit.
I paid $1,000 for the house.
William's dog actually has a house, unlike me. Yeah. So
It's true.
My dogs. Yeah.
Maybe we should get William's dog on the podcast instead.
that's what William's going to be like when he has the Squig roleplay.
Yes.
Right? So
Talking about role playing, you on your hands like a role play book, right?
We've been quite excited, right? Because we finally got our hands on the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay rulebooks after much struggle actually getting it in stock. Because turns out it's surprisingly popular.
I looked everywhere. So we still haven't got the starter kits in, which is funny. We talked about it earlier today. It's like I went to every provider that we've got, like every distributor that we can buy through as a store, and then we're doing hand signals here. It's fine. Every distributor we've got, and then I couldn't find them through there. So then I went to just like normal like places, online websites that anyone else would buy from. I couldn't find them there, and we didn't think at once at all to go check the local Games Workshop where Kurgs comes and hangs out with us actually works. So
One of our good friends, Kurgan, who's also the manager of Games Workshop.
100%, yeah.
Joondalup.
And
Yeah.
after that, they're midway through renovations down at the Joondalup Games Workshop. So I'm going to wait for him to open, and I can rush in there and get the
It was
starter
it was one of those like me and Danny looked at each other and we're like, wow.
kits. How did we not think
Really?
about that first? Well, it's funny. Like I used to go there. I've known Kirks a long time. I actually used to play like soccer with him when we were kids. So I've known him for many, many years. And when I had more free time, I'd pop in like once or twice a week, not once or twice, like once a week or two, to go say hi and just check in, see how he's going. And I know his family, stuff like that. So it's like I want to check in, say hi. But once you start doing this small business stuff, those little free moments you get definitely eke away. You know what I mean? And it's like the what I think is like, it's only a couple of weeks since I've seen him. Now it's been months. So it's like, and now they've got the game store as well. It's like there's less reasons for me to like pop into Games Workshop as well.
But those moments start to mean more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, I just weird. Like there's so little like races though.
Oh, so let's have a look, right? So I've had a little bit of time now.
Why's my squeak race?
I've had a little time to go in and actually read some of the rules, and I got a few things.
I thought
to say
this
about
is
the
like
rules.
RPG, right?
Correct.
So you can do
whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We have the core rules. So the core rules only has 5 classes, right?
So is
it's
it like
not-
a DLC if you buy more race?
I imagine you can probably I imagine every single one of these storage expansions have additional races, the same way that Dungeons and Dragons does it. I still don't know if you can really do a squig.
Wait,
a squig
hold
is
on,
more
hold
of
on,
a
let me
monster.
Google.
Oh, well, I would, based on Warhammer Fantasy lore, though, I don't think they will add because you've got humans, dwarves,
Correct.
elves, and that's it.
Squigs are categorically more
Probably
of a
halflings.
monster than it is a
Absolutely.
playing
Like,
race.
I can 100% guarantee there's no rules for you to play a squeak.
So William,
That
you
doesn't
might
mean-
have to be a very red dwarf or like a halfling.
There's no reason that we can't masterclass
Yeah.
something in for you. Absolutely have to do that. But I can guarantee you there's no way for you to actually play a squig in the rules.
There's no reason why we can't, just assume you're a squig following all the rules of another race.
Of a
class.
halfling or something.
But
for
speaking
sure.
about racing classes, because I come from a deep background of playing Dungeons and Dragons, touching upon a little bit of Pathfinder, the way Warhammer Fantasy does it is very different. There's not really classes, there's careers.
Yes.
And there's dozens and dozens of careers, ranging from like really cool things like grave robber and wizard and investigator, rat catcher or outlaw.
Oh, I can be a rat catcher, for sure.
To really like weird ones, like you can be a beggar or a servant
Are you a professional beggar?
or a villager.
I want to be a drunken beggar.
And
I
squig,
was
or two
I was
separate
just
things?
about to say like, who's gonna go out and be a beggar?
If you're
But
gonna
then-
commit to drunken beggar though, I want you to come in blasted out of your mind every single time. You're like, you don't drink, do you?
No, oh,
But it's
really?
cool.
But
ones,
you're
like-
gonna have to commit to it for the
there's
story,
It's
though.
like bounty hunter, right? You can be a hell cool bounty hunter, or you can be,
I want to be Boba Fett.
or you can just be a road warden.
Bro, just be Boba.
Wait. Let me see what other choice. If I can't,
You
be
got a lot, William, to choose from.
I want to be like a smart, stupid race.
Just be a wizard.
Is there game
right?
store manager in there?
Absolutely.
okay. Academics, right? So a wizard,
Yeah.
a wizard.
I've had to read the rules, and it's interesting. It's a D10 system, so the only dice you're ever going to roll is a D10, which is it follows track
What's a
with
courtier?
a courtier. It's like an entertainer, right?
Yeah, it's someone who hangs around the court, and it's usually they like, if you're a king, you
Wait.
have courtiers around you.
Yeah.
I know the next best thing. I want to be a bard.
There's an
bard?
option there for bard.
Yeah.
I should say.
I
Hook
used to
me
play,
up.
I used to play bard in Dungeons and Dragons. Fun class.
Did you watch the D&D movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
I like how they like presented the bard because like it's like a bit tongue in cheek because they know that like
Correct.
the bard is like
You know-
not a real thing, but
you
it's
know,
also like how they added in there.
in the
right?
game, in the tabletop game, bard is actually very, very OP.
So
I guess.
So, but the way they wanted to show it off in the movie was more of that abstract
they
idea
make
of
it.
a bard.
They make the bard famous in Witcher.
Correct. Dandelion from The Witcher is a bard.
I've
Canonically, he gets up to every hijink. Yeah.
is the bard the guy who kind of sings at the main character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You've watched the TV show.
I've
You haven't
watched
played
the
the video
first
game.
season.
In the TV show, they call him Jaskier or Yaskier.
Got it.
It's a very different name.
Jax, I'd never played a Witcher game, so Jax, who's like one of the guys who used to work here, he gave me his version of one of the Witcher games, but it was on Switch.
Yeah,
And
you
I
had
tr-
the worst version possible of a great game.
I tried to play it for like, I don't know, I've got a bad track record of trying to play games, but I tried to play The Witcher on Switch for like 20 minutes and it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like it was, the graphics weren't loading and it was terrible. And like I was on a horse and the horse kept like just flying off into the distance and it would just leave the character standing there. I genuinely wish so hard that I knew how to capture stuff because you'd be riding along on the horse and all of a sudden the horse would just like 90 degrees fly away from you.
Hold on. Let me just stop this for a moment. Like, Ken, can you give me like because I haven't played RPG before.
Sure.
Can you give
That's very apparent, William.
can you give me like a 5-minute introduction? Like, what if we are playing the RPG right now? Like, can you give me like what does a bot do?
A bard?
Yeah.
I guess it depends on which universe you're playing in, but the general idea of a
Well, we're
bard.
playing on the Warhammer Fantasy, right?
I haven't read the rules for Warhammer Fantasy, but I'll
Right.
explain. For example, in Dungeons and Dragons, right, the classic bard is a roguish style character, which is more of a support class, right? So you play. Idea is that you're playing
like Sona.
Well, there's a few in Dungeons and Dragons. You can actually kind of go into subclasses. But for example, you're a character that the idea is you're more musically aligned. Your magic is tuned into the way you cast through magic. Through magic is cast through music, right? So while other classes like wizards usually cast with materials, or sorcerers cast from their own eternal bloodline, warlocks draw their power from another patron like a demon or whatever. The bard casts their magic through music. And then from there, you can diversify into you're like a swashbuckling rogue style, or you're like a support caster, or
Rockstar.
Or the bard is canonically more tuned to the idea of coercion. You're a speech character. You're an entertainer. You go out and you try and get your party through things with the power of speech.
We could go full meta, and you could play the bard in here, and you could be playing Lorcana in the game. Because in Lorcana, you're trying to sing a song.
There's the classic. there's the classic example of the bard is also usually associated. The meme is the bard is associated with the sex appeal character, or the character that's going to go around and sleep with everyone. So there's the meme of in a 4-party of adventurers, how the fighter deals with the dragon, he kills it. How the cleric does it. They pray to their god, and the god smites the dragon, and then the bard fucks the dragon. Yeah,
He's in it for the big worm.
so that's the example of what a
I
bard
still
is.
want my squig dog.
A bard is a heavy roleplay character.
I
in
want
my
like
opinion.
a wizard.
Yeah, there's wizard or in one of your careers right here. So in the book right here, I'm pointing to it.
In a game based on fantasy lore and magic, a wizard makes.
I want to be
slightly more sense.
Archaon.
We've had this talk.
I know. Okay. Give me the closest to an Archaon.
You would probably just be like a human warrior, human fighter.
Can I be Chaos?
I actually haven't gone that far, but there's no reason why you can't. So going back into, I've had a little quick read of the core rules. This is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's quite an old school style roleplay game where it's very heavy into the roleplay. Dungeons and Dragons, especially the new 5th edition, is more guided. I describe Dungeons and Dragons
More like a video game, right?
Video games are inspired by pen and paper, right? So Dungeons and Dragons plays more like a board game where there's very set rules on how you make your character, how you follow through the path and do things. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is you choose your class, you choose your race, and here are these set things you can do, and then everything is the world's your oyster. If you want to level up, you can get to choose from all these different traits, all these different fun things you can do. You're actually quite free flow. So for you, if you wanted to be like an Archaon style character, I imagine you would be because Archaon was a human, correct? He was a human
Yes,
before he corrupted.
correct.
You'd be like a human fighter or warrior, and you're heavily role playing into the idea of ambition and challenging and becoming on
that's
top.
nice.
And becoming the best you
Archaon.
can, and collecting your own personal journey of demon artifacts.
Archaon's existence in the Warhammer Fantasy lore is he is embodied in a human body, but he isn't necessarily human. He's above that. It's
He's
this divine being that
Yeah,
came.
because he's become so powerful, he is beyond mortal.
Well, the thing is that he doesn't necessarily have a background that would so that there's proof that he was a human. He basically started as Archaon and then became more Archaon.
Well,
if
let
that
me
makes
Google
sense. It's
a little bit.
almost like a demon.
Look how
essentially.
cool the art is for all the careers, though. Look
Yeah.
at this rat catcher fella with his wheelbarrow.
Wait, hold on. What else do you need to play this?
You can also be a townsman. It's
at the
weird.
moment, we need to get the starter kits from Kurg's at the.
What starter kit?
Well, starter kits we'll give you each player will have one, and it will give you a sheet and
Oh, right,
a
right,
quick
right.
reference rule and that
I
kind
think
of stuff.
we've had a talk, and the way we're going to approach this Warhammer Fantasy roleplay thing for the Boardcast is we're going to get the starter set so we can ease ourselves in. We may or may not choose to use one of the pre-generated characters that come in the starter sets.
Just
But
to
we'll
learn
play
the
a
game.
starter campaign.
Yeah.
Until we dive into something a little more meaty. And then
Well,
we
the
can really
idea is
make
that
our
once you
characters.
pick a character, theoretically, there's 9 or something books of a story already pre-written that we can adventure our way through. So if we want to hit the ground running with those, rather than learn along the way, we'll learn in a starter campaign that'll go for a month or two, and then we can figure out what we're doing, and that way we can then we can pick our characters and have a basic idea. And I think. So, William, you have a good idea of what an RPG actually is, and then we can launch into that one with the characters preset. Because while I'm absolutely not opposed to you being a squig at all, I need you to understand why it doesn't make sense to begin with. Why there isn't an option for a
We can
squig.
no, we can roll into it. We can
Yeah,
definitely roll
absolutely,
into
yeah,
Squig.
I'll be
there's-
Archaon.
I think there's a Beast Master class, right?
All right, I'm gonna Google how to be Archaon.
Hey Siri, how do I become Archaon?
Yeah,
The
so I
Everchosen?
think that's what in the starter campaign we'll get William to understand why the option for Archaon isn't in the book.
Here's,
And
here's,
then-
here's the thing that we can do to sell it, right? I think there is a Beast Master class, right?
Ooh.
There's the idea is that you could also be a Beast Master that just happens to have a pet squig that is intelligent or whatever. Or we can have one of our characters is a Beast Master and then you're just one of the squigs he owns or whatever. We can really sell it. We can
They
play around
you
the
can't
idea.
control the smart squig.
Fair. I thought okay.
he could be a wizard that's been cursed into being a squig body.
So the reason why
That's
this
not a
is-
bad way to do
this,
it.
This is actually I'm quite excited because I've played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and for me, Dungeons and Dragons was when I went into D&D, it was very easy for me to pick out what class I want to play. Right, of the options where it's larger and larger, and every day they release not every day, every couple months they release a new class or more things to play. But for me going in, it was really obvious. I want to play either Warlock, I want to play Bard. These are characters I love the idea of. Right. Going into Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with dozens and dozens of careers, I have no clue. Some of them I'm maybe I want to play as an investigator.
We could go full
detective.
manic and have each one of us pick the other person's.
Oh my! I like that idea.
I will pick William's class, and then you can pick William's race, and then we'll do the same thing.
Look
for
at
each
all
other.
these cool ideas. You can be a witch hunter, bounty hunter, an investigator, an outlaw, a racketeer, a thief. You can be a fence, a pit fighter. There's one of the careers is just protagonist. You can't just be the protagonist.
What?
Warrior, priest, slayer. Slayer is like the dwarves. Those orange hair dwarves.
Yeah.
You could be one of those, for example. The
That's
smuggler. There's seaman. You can be a seaman. A miner, dude.
Friday night.
I don't know what type of class a miner would be. You just every day you just work, in the mines.
Yeah, just someone more effective than
Hey,
others. That's
you get,
great.
probably when you do see a rock and you can get gold from it or
Yeah,
whatever,
sick,
right?
dude. You're with a party of adventurers, and the one time you're useful is that rock, that geode. Hell yeah.
Well, it's I think because this original storyline was actually started in I think it's 83, right? So it's been around for a long time, and the version we've got is just a rejigged, refined version
fourth ed.
of that. Of the exact thing. So it is really cool that this is from in 83, you're really talking about the inception of Warhammer and that original lore. So it's had decades and decades of story added to it and written around. So it's really for us, it's really a cool nostalgic step back in time for Warhammer.
So this is fantasy. So this is pretty much pre-Archaon before he becomes very powerful, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think
William still wants to be Archaon. He wants to end the universe.
I think the idea is that because it's going to be based very much in the rules of the lore itself. So the options are realistically going to be human and dwarf, and then there'll be additional options of elf and halfling.
Yeah,
And
it can be human.
yeah, and then
Strong human.
And I think the idea is you start as something more towny kind of people, and you work your way up into being heroes rather than starting as the greatest protagonist enemy that exists in the storyline.
What I was trying to say is I want to be Archaon is I want to journey to be
Yeah,
Archaon.
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I can start off like a normal human.
You're gonna start at level 1.
and then
I'm okay with that.
I carry a small dagger to a sword to a big sword and then two swords.
Playing
Two
evil.
swords in a horse.
Historically, playing evil characters is also tricky, right?
Because we're supposed to be working as a team, I guess.
Correct. Back when I used to DM, you would always have. The
Did you
classic-
watch the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon?
No, that's the
Ring of Power.
ring.
Yeah.
I've not.
Let's see how Sauron does it. He was in the team too.
That's a prequel,
right? He was friends
Ring of
with
Power was prequel.
what's his name?
Yeah.
Oh shit, what's her name?
Elariel.
No,
I don't know. You haven't given me information for me to give a guess.
the girl elf.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I did watch it. I watched it twice.
Oh my goodness, how can I forget her name?
It's
Gandalf.
I found it hard with the Ring of Power because I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan.
Aragorn.
Massive
No.
Lord of the Rings fan. And I was 100% in there to like it.
Galadriel.
Galadriel. Ah, Galadriel.
Yeah, Galadriel. So Sauron won Galadriel's trust, and then Sauron
Betrayed her.
Betrayed her. Yeah.
Are you telling me this is what we can expect
Hey,
when we
I
roleplay?
don't know. I don't know. I'm
You've
a
given
normal
away your
human.
plot already.
No, I'm a human.
You're a very effective villain right now, William.
I'm a human being.
We can rewrite
Yeah.
history.
It's
fine. I'm on board.
back when I used to DM for a lot of people, randoms here and there, whatever, and I would host Dungeon Dragon sessions.
So you actually you ran groups with just random people that you
yeah,
met.
yeah.
How
I have
how
quite
was
a lot
that?
of stories. So it's always a mixed bag. You have to really curate the people you want to play with. So that's why these days I'm just going to stick to friends. I don't want to have trouble anymore. Everyone has to go into the same expectations of what they want out of Dungeons and Dragons, and everyone has different expectations. Sometimes you'll get a player that comes in and they want to play like an evil aligned character.
Yeah.
Or there's the
I can see why that's going to be a challenge.
There's a classic archetype of like chaotic neutral, you know, lawful good. You know the alignment chart.
Yeah.
Someone will come in and like they'll be like, I am chaotic neutral, when really they're just playing an evil character.
Just a piece of shit.
But it's very, very hard to play an evil character because Dungeons and Dragons is usually you're playing a band of adventurers, a band of heroes, right? And if there's one person actively acting against the party, it's really hard.
Yeah.
The one time I was a player, I played as an evil character because I really wanted to do it justice. So I had a really cool character where it was the idea of my character was it was an evil aligned character, but more out of so the description of the characters, it was a warlock, right? And warlocks are magic casters who draw upon their magic from an otherworldly patron, either a demon or a cosmic being, or you know, think of it as like in 40K, it's someone that has signed their soul away to a chaos god. Same thing in
So they're already like evil inclined.
they're all evil inclined already, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil. So my character has gone through, long story short, he went through a thing where he basically passed away, where in order for him to not die, he signed his soul away to a demon, right? And because he was so determined to stay alive, he was so determined he was willing to give up everything, he signed his soul away to a demon. And now that he's alive now, he's willing to do everything possible to not die, everything possible to achieve his ambitions, because he's seen what it's like to die and what's awaiting him when he does pass away. So that really kind of drives forward that ambition, that evil, and then he will do evil things, not necessarily because he wants to, but because he has to, because the demon.
It's more like a
patron inside of him.
desperation cost to not pass away.
So for the party, there's this idea of like they still want to help my character. They still understand where things are coming from. But when my character goes out and does a horrible thing, there's
Forgivable.
There's not that immediate like my party will just exile me.
So did you make it work, or we just?
It was actually not bad. It was actually not bad. We really rolled into that role play side of things. But in the end of the day, it's still hard because I still wasn't necessarily playing an evil character.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
From the games that you've played, have you ever finished a game of D&D?
No.
Yeah.
Can you finish a game?
Well,
You can.
because you go on like a campaign, right? And the campaign will theoretically have a beginning, a quest, and an end. You'll achieve the goal. But I've also never ever.
But what if
finished
you
one.
haven't finished I'm not level 99 yet?
It's not about that. It's about you have to have a group of people, and then let's say you commit to doing once a fortnight or once a month, and that those 4 or 5 people can then continually meet up in real life to play the game.
most of the time, Dungeons and Dragons also played through adventure modules. So you have a set storyline that has a beginning and an end. So you just run through a campaign which takes you from level 1 to level 5. Or for example, more commonly you'll have like 5 to 10 or whatever. And then it's like, that's it. That's your story. That's your done.
Can you bring like
The
a
end.
character from there to another level? Like another thing?
Sometimes
Yeah.
people will like, if you played your character for a long time, you grow attached to them, right?
Yeah.
So you want to take them along. So what sometimes Dungeons and Dragons do, well, they'll release an expansion to the adventure module, which takes you even further beyond.
Yeah.
But usually what happens is a good GM, right? A good game master will just continue to write storyline for their characters. Yeah. My longest campaign went for about 2.5 years.
Oh, so it's quite a while.
Yeah, went for 2.5 years, and the only reason it ended was because the couple that was planning to get married, they broke up. The fiance and the fiancée, they broke up.
GG.
That does put an end to a party.
So you can either like just off screen murder one of the characters.
So there was a very awkward last session when I had to
Media.
really like as a GM, I had to really kind of like, come on guys, let's end the storyline. This the end. You saved everyone. Good
So
luck.
did they both rock up even after they split up?
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
insane.
the commitment though.
Yeah.
that's commitment.
That's why I was like, done.
Were they okay? Were they committed to continue going?
Hey man, I ended that session and I stopped talking to those people. my contract was done, bro.
Man, that's 4 customers you've lost for the boards, gang. I'm not happy with
It's all right. I think one of them still comes through. So I didn't alienate one of them.
Oh
so-
shit! Oh, interesting. The groups that I've played was always with like same thing with like dads as well, and you got limited time, and like you're like, we're going to commit this, and we're going to do this once a month, and then it went into like once every 2 months.
Is that like a digital D&D?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Basically,
It's called Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
No, I mean like imagine like D&D, you have to go to like someone's place to play,
Okay.
right? Is that like an online
So
version?
that's how
There's
I used
heaps
to
of
DM.
them, yeah.
That's how I used to DM actually. So,
Oh, really?
Especially during COVID. So there's Dungeons and Dragons Beyond is like it was an unofficial client, but now it is officially owned by Wizards of the Coast. It's like it's an assistant. You can make your character and have all the rules in one place.
Ooh, nice.
There's a lot of online ways to play Dungeons and Dragons. Roll20 is what I used. It was a browser that lets you basically make maps and play Dungeons and Dragons on actual maps. Like you can move your characters
that's
around
cool.
doing things.
We should do that.
Dungeons and Dragons is one of those things where you gather as friends and you play in front of you like a boards and miniatures, but it can be a little bit cumbersome because it's not as dynamic. So the way I used to DM was everyone would gather together, play Dungeons and Dragons, we'll play it in front of each other and we'll roll dice together. But everyone brings like their iPad or laptop. And then on their laptop screen will be the map that we're playing on. And you can have your little character move around and do that stuff. I don't know what happened. And I used to have Fog of War. So I would actually like Fog of War places off. So you could go into the room and actually get surprised at what's in the room. And you'll find things. And I would go through Patreon and I would have a lot of resources that I would have for the maps, like really hand-drawn cool maps and play. So I actually went in hard. I used to like as a DM, I used to go in hard.
Jeez.
Yeah. I would
I'm
make
expecting
everyone
big things for this campaign we're doing.
So
When I used to play with Josh, who was the owner of Gamagory, which was another game store that was here in Perth, and our GM was a guy called Nathan, and Nathan was also like pretty committed. He'd bring his TV and he'd set up at the table, and the same thing on the TV would be all the maps and stuff like that, and you could see our characters moving around on there, and it was really good. It's like it's hard. It's like the only reason really to stop that campaign was just the time lapse, and the other 4 dads that I was playing with, you start to like lose the ability to like
there's
meet
a
up
natural
at that time.
fading of interest. There's a natural fading of interest that happens that most Dungeons and Dragon parties kind of just end because people's schedules get busy.
Yes,
and you never really see an ending.
Yeah.
I had an end to. I was playing in a I think what's the Warhammer 40,000 roleplay game? I can't remember right now. It's not called Dark Imperium. Wrath and Glory. Wrath and Glory. Recently, I played one where the party was starting to lose interest in playing Wrath and Glory.
Was it the gameplay or the story or?
I think the gameplay is fine. I think it was more of a just the people that were playing weren't sold enough on. They were video gamers. They weren't tabletop gamers.
Oh, right.
So they would rather play video games than play tabletop games. So they were losing interest, and then there was a situation where the players kind of just suicided. They were just like, we want an end to the storyline. So me and my mate went into this room, and then the other players locked us in and threw a grenade.
So they didn't even suicide; they murdered you.
Yeah,
and then theoretically walked off into the sun.
And then while we were fighting orcs, we died, and then those other 2 then decided to go run off and die. And then you could see it in the game master. One of my close friends actually, as a game master, he's like, this guy. Do you guys want to start again? I feel real bad.
The poor guy spent time writing things.
I feel real bad. It was an unfortunate situation, but I think in the end of the day, we're all friends still, so we kind of just moved on.
Yeah. And I think that's what, like, even with this one, it's like, I think getting through like the starter campaign will get us, make sure that if the people that we do get involved, everyone's on board with what we're doing and is actually enjoying it. Because I think for us to make content that's fun and engaging and enjoyable, we have to be enjoying it ourselves as well. And everyone has to be on board
I'm
with what
willing
that
to
is.
get hard into roleplay. You guys haven't seen that side of me, guys.
I'm always willing to get hard.
I don't know how to play roleplay.
You gonna play a warrior, Danny?
Probably.
Done.
Let's
I
be
thought
honest.
I'm
Done
a
deal.
warrior. I'm chaos.
You're a wizard, a squig, and a warrior. Which got to pick,
Okay,
man?
wait. I'll be the
Avatar of
Beastmaster.
the elements.
I'll be the Beastmaster.
Also, I don't think there's anything stopping all 4 of us being warriors.
Ooh, warrior.
We'll
Hey,
have some
whoa,
real
whoa.
downfalls and abilities, but we're
Every
there.
single Dungeons and Dragons party, you have a lot of like diversity of classes. People want to do fancy things, but I'll tell you right now, it's always like the fighter or the paladin who just unga bungas his way into a room and just like punches people that actually gets the job done.
Although I've always played a warrior, so maybe it is time to become a rat catcher or something. You know what I mean? Like we've been given so many
Triple
options.
warriors, bro. 6 swords.
Honestly, it's extremely strong. Yeah, if you ever, for our
effectively
listeners
just
that
make
play
an
video
army.
games, they ever want to play Dungeons and
I want to be like
Dragons,
Custodes. Is that like a Custodes character that's 2+?
we're in the wrong universe.
I know, no. Look, hear me out. I want to be something like Custodes.
Yeah, you just be a really heavily armored paladin.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you have to point for us to hear you out, and we're living on a podcast where we listen to you.
I want to like hit on 2+.
Sure, you might not be level 1, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. So,
2+.
But yeah,
That's my goal.
For our listeners that play video games and they want to play Dungeons and Dragons, Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty much a 1-for-1 translation of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition rules.
Is it really?
Pretty much. Which also, which for pros and cons of 5th edition as well. They've translated it into a video game and they've done an awesome, authentic job of replicating that Dungeons and Dragons experience in a video game. Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely shot up being one of my favorite games of all time. It's fantastic. It is still a very, very long game though. You have to be willing to get into that. So that's my final parting word. If you want to give it a go. If you want to check us out, doing more roleplay things, the Boardcast things.
And sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to our YouTube. Find us on Spotify as well. You're already listening to us.
And also join our Discord. It's coming up this week.
Yeah. Let us know what you would like to see from us. So keep an eye out for more content.
It's going to be talk to us. Like there's going to be like a suggestion, probably like a sub page in the Patreon, right? To get suggestions.
I think it's good. Like I know now that you finished uni as well, and like I've been trying to do a little bit more. I've been trying to get back into the store and the club and like playing games and doing things, and I think it's made a big difference in like actually getting back into engaging. And it's like it's good sometimes with all of like the small business work that we have to be doing. I find it hard to find time to do things I want to do. But if I tell myself and lie to myself that it's work, then I can force myself back into it. Like I built a commander deck this week and I played my league game with Mark for fantasy, and I actually did for the first time in quite a while. Actually not terrible. I still lost quite significantly, but I've finally got my my empire list into like a situation where there's a chance that maybe potentially possibly win a game, and I'm fucking on board.
The light at the end of the
That's
tunnel.
not bad.
Very nice.
But yeah, it's good, and I don't know, it's good. I was really keen to come in tonight and play my Tamio deck that I built because I was going to play it tonight and then sell the cards out of it after. But
You're lucky you're not playing tonight. I was going around tables and looking at what decks they're playing. Like so many Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Everybody's hands like cozy like.
Right now, it's the season, dude.
I'm like,
it is the
oh my
Eldrazi
goodness.
between the Commander Masters Eldrazi deck coming out about a year ago, and then the current one come out, and then obviously there's all the cards in the set that are Eldrazi as well. Like there'll be a few floating around.
We've got so much to talk about because we had so many things of like topics we wanted to talk about as well. We had so many things happening in the week, Lorcana as well, Modern Horizons,
yes.
all the usual repeats. So
That's why suggest sign up Patreon.
yeah, check us out next
Like
episode.
this,
Has your
subscribe.
Modern Horizons 3 stuff arrived, Will?
Yes, finally.
Have you sorted out yet?
I just sorted out today.
I went through all of our commons and uncommons the other day, and I sorted out the ones that are worth money and the ones that weren't, right? And I put the ones that weren't back into the chaff pile, and I've stacked up all of the commons and uncommons that are worth money and put them in a pile on top of the desk. And then 2 seconds later, I turned around and I had a oat milk dare iced coffee that I was drinking that a very Michael bought for me, very kind of him, and I was drinking it at the table, and I turned around and I knocked this fucking coffee, and the entire coffee just shot directly at the pile of cards.
Oh no!
It was like, I don't know, like 300-400 mils of just fucking coffee hits it, and I was like, oh, and it got drenched, and I was like, oh, maybe I can get them off in time. It instantly like coagulated, and it was like a stack like I don't know. Like a phone
fist-sized stack.
Yeah, fist-sized stack of cards instantly just melted together, and it was like they were goners. And I'm not even mad about like the maybe $100 worth of cards that I ruined. I was mad that I'd spent fucking an hour and a half of my very valuable time, William, sorting them out into color and value and stuff like that. Instantly turned into a brick.
Drinks and carts don't mix together.
So if you want to win this brick of Magic the Gathering cards fused together through the power of Dare Ice Coffee, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes.
I felt like Kang was so patient and like understanding. I felt like a child who'd made a mistake, because like it's like there was like Kang just like came over and he got the mop and he helped me clean it up, and it was like he didn't say anything, and I was just like, oh, felt like
Well, it usually like I mean, the consolation is it was uncommon and common.
yeah.
I'm very used to it, right? So I've
What,
got
me making a mess?
No. From my family side of things, we're trying to end the podcast. We just keep going on.
Yeah.
this is a whole new thing happening
version.
right here.
This is the one time of the week I get to hang out with my friends. Stop trying to end it.
I had this whole situation. It was a long time ago, where like when I was young, obviously, like my parents used to berate me every time I do something wrong, right? So I flipped, right? So I usually when things go wrong now, I just like look for solutions rather than get annoyed. I had a situation once where like I had to pick my dad up from the police station because he had a tussle with one of his coworkers. Anyway, it was the middle of the goddamn night. I had to pick up my dad from the police station, right? And my dad was like, you can tell my dad's face. He was ready to just ready to cop it from me. And I was like, I don't want to hear what happened. I don't care what happened. Don't tell me nothing. Get in the car, we're going home.
I love that you'll become the parent.
Yeah.
So did you ground your dad?
I mean, I didn't have to, right?
No allowance for you, Kang.
The truth, really, really, it's just veiled in that scare, right? Because I still live with my parents, so any moment now they can just be like, "Get out of the house." So I can only go so far.
Yeah, but they need you, right? You speak the most English in the family, so
True.
they do need
I doubt
you.
It's a symbiotic.
They will shoo you out, Kang.
Yeah.
I doubt so. You're Asian, Kang.
I have another mate, and
I'm a
he's
freeloader right now.
he's Croatian, and he lives with his parents as well. And he's the only one who speaks like his parents speak a tiny bit of English, but they mostly only speak Croatian. And he's the same thing. He does like whenever they need to do government stuff or medical stuff, he does everything for them and goes like represents them, right? And they have like this kind of like disagreement with one of their neighbors, which is a very Croatian thing as well, right? To not get it like along with their neighbor. And quite often the neighbor will come over and have a go at him, and like my mate, he will like translate, but not actually translate. He won't say what the neighbor's saying, and like because his dad would be mad at the neighbor, but for the dad to like properly argue with the neighbor, he needs my mate to like translate through. And he's
so
like,
awkward.
and he'd be like, well, I can't actually tell my dad what the guy would say because he might go over there and punch the guy. So daddy would be like, why is he like asking why he's so angry? And he's like, oh, he's not. He's just like saying this. And the other guy's like, yeah, fuck you, fuck this, and his dad's like, fuck you, fuck this. But he's like, but he's translating across like, oh, he just wants you to like put the bin out now. And it's just so funny, like between these two people.
You also know that he's been doing that since he was like a child.
Yeah.
Like ever since he's been able to speak English.
Yeah,
That's his job.
how many incidents has he managed to avoid because he just lied straight to his dad?
You know how now you have to do like a literary test when you become a citizen of Australia.
Interesting.
Like
really?
there's a test you have to do to become a citizen, right? Like it's all these things like how much do you know about Australian history, how much English can you speak and all that, right? And they had it around during my parents' time, but they've made it way more stricter. Like it's actually way harder now. You have to be way better in English. I don't know what the test was back then, dude, because my parents can't speak English. I don't know how they passed that test, dude.
Well, when did you say you came here? What
2000. I came 2001. My parents came 2000.
Interesting.
So we came at different times.
I like that they left
that's-
you behind for a year as well.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Oh.
They moved out to Australia for a year, and they were like, I wonder what it's like with no kids. And then they spent after a year, they're like, oh, we'd better bring him. I wonder like if they'd had a really good time and they went out become like nightclubbing people or something, and they were like, we don't need him.
I can assure you, we had zero money for nightclubbing. So
Well, my mum was also British, right? And so my dad's Kiwi and my mum's British. My mum came over when she was...
were they immigrants?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay,
my mum came
gotcha.
as a 10-pound pom. And what that meant was in the like when I don't know, she's like 50 something, 60, 63, I don't know, whatever. I think she's like 63. So that puts her in the 60s. 70s? I don't know. I'm fucking good bad at math.
Your
That's
mum
not
is
my point.
old. Gotcha.
Yeah. So they came thing as a 10-pound pom, and what that was is people would go. A giant ship would arrive in England, and then in all the poor parts of England where my mum lived, she lived in Tottenham, right? That's why I follow that average soccer team. Now,
You're Spur.
yeah, Spurs. Big fan. I watched all their games this year, so I got very disappointed by the end of it. So if anyone else is there,
Man United.
Anyway, so what happened was they go through the poor parts of town. A guy from the boat would walk down the street and like with like a megaphone and be like, £10, you can go to Australia. And half of their street just went with £10 each per person and got on the boat, paid the boat on entry, and it just took them to Australia. And that's how they immigrated, right?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of paperwork, but all the paperwork could be done like basically on the boat on the way there. So it went from 2 ports in England where it just picked people up, basically like carousing them onto the boat, and then it went through the channel past Egypt. So they got to stop in Egypt and like see the pyramids, and then they get back on the boat, and then they come to
that's
Australia.
nice.
And they basically
A couple of them stay in Egypt.
yeah, they some of them made decisions on the day to come to Australia. Like they just like were like there one day, and the next day they just now live in Australia, and it's fucking crazy.
But how do you get it? Like, where do you live in Australia then?
You would come and there'd just be houses ready for you to go to.
Oh, gee.
Free? 100%.
For free?
The government would.
It was just trying to populate Australia.
Yeah,
Jeez.
100%. Like, so the government would have houses ready for you to go.
Your parents should choose like Peppermint Grove or whatever.
Yeah, but like you have to understand that
They chose
Australia wasn't.
Balladura. Sorry.
Australia still wasn't very developed, still, right?
I know,
so
but
it was still.
what if you pick the right spot, right?
So the
Beside the beach.
you could the government would give you a house to go live in, and you'd pay rent there, and you could decide if you wanted to buy that house off of them or if you're going to move somewhere else, and then it would go back to the next people, right? So that they did that, and then my dad's a Kiwi. Now in Australia, for anyone who's not from Perth or from Australia doesn't understand how it works. In Australia, there's like an agreement with New Zealand that you can just basically go back and forth. The only way you can get kicked out of one country is if you create like a federal crime, and then you get deported. But pretty much you can just live in each one of the countries, you just pay normal tax to that country, and you just can't vote. That's the only thing. And like, some Kiwis like to come here so they just don't have to vote in either country. It's perfect, right?
Yeah.
So he would never get kicked out. My mum came here when she was 3. And she's been here since she was 3. When she was like 48 or something, they tried to deport her back to England. So I remember when I was in like early high school, they were like the government had come around to the house and they were like, oh, you've got to become a citizen or we're going to deport you. So there was a chance when I was a teenager that they were going to deport my mum back to England. And I remember the conversation very thoroughly, clearly, because they're standing at the door, like these government agents guys, and they're like, you'll have to go home. And mum's like, I've been here since I was 3, and her entire street of people moved to here with all of my family.
Right.
So she's like, there's no.
Are you serious? Yeah.
What
do you mean?
There's no home. Like, if they just sent her back to England, she'd get to the airport and be like, where the fuck do I go? There's nowhere to go. So anyway, she became. It took her like another 4 or 5 years after that to become a citizen, but she became a citizen. And I remember looking at the test, and it was like, what was our third prime minister? And no fucking one here knows who our third prime minister is. Absolutely nonsense.
Kangaroo George.
It was like, what are the different languages that indigenous talk in our local area? Because in Australia, you have the
French.
Aboriginals, and they have literally hundreds of different languages they speak around the country, right? So it was like, what are the rules? The test was like, what are the ones in your local area? Who are our prime ministers? What is this federal law? And
Bro,
all
I'm
of the
glad
shit.
I'm already a citizen
Yeah.
de facto because my parents became citizens. Because
Absolutely.
I don't know any of
I
this.
reckon that absolutely 99% of the average Australians, there's nowhere they're passing the citizenship rule.
No.
I'm like, did they do this to make it hard or for you to research it beforehand? You go down to local Woolies and try and quiz people on it? No fucking clue, bro. They've deport us out of our own country. I'm like, I wonder how many immigrants are better educated on our country than I am. Probably quite a few. All right, William's doing spinning fingers. So we done here, boys?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, gentlemen.
Let's go.
Well, I appreciate
It's
everyone
another
coming down
bonus episode.
for our Thursday night. I appreciate working
Night
around that.
cars.
So, night cars. I feel pretty good. I've definitely not slept any more than I have.
I don't mind these
but I feel
Thursday
like
nights.
coming
I
in
like
hot.
these Thursday nights.
Night
Coming off the
cars.
energy of having been open and playing Commander and
True.
all that.
Hopefully
good
next
jazz.
week I won't disappoint Graham and tell him that I'm coming and actually not come until the last minute.
All right, we got so many things to talk about. So
Next
Stay tuned,
episode, sign up,
stay
subscribe,
subscribed,
like.
stay subscribed, and check us out on the next episode.
Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.